Okay, good morning. Welcome. Please have by you 2 blocks, a pillow and a blanket. With this one, I'd like to start, if you like Supta Baddha Konasana, you can do it, supine butterfly. You'll have one block and you choose whether it's across or along your spine. I'm going to choose across. And then one can also have a block underneath the skull. So I'll show you how I set up and you can choose however else you need. The most basic and straightforward is block underneath the rib cage, block underneath the head, any arms. One could be in butterfly. If you choose, you can roll up your blanket the long way. That way, if you choose to be in Baddha Konasana, the feet can be together and the blanket can support your thighs. That is all. And I'll talk to us throughout. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. Yeah, you all look very comfortable. Welcome, Devata. Good to see you. Okay, I'm just going to set the timer. Oh, and I'll share the playlist. You can play it after if you're already very comfortable. It's called Groundwork. That's the playlist. I'm going to push play, but it's long enough that you can push play after this one, okay? And then just make sure if you can't hear me well, just let me know. All right, you all look very comfy, so I'll let you be and I'll set the timer. Good. And just invite your body to settle into the foundation that you have created. The arms can be wide to a T. And then just let everything be quite heavy. Whatever is happening or not happening in this moment, can you just be with what is? Our body, our support, our breath. Inhale, notice any breath in the belly, how your belly fills up. You don't have to force it, you don't have to create it, you just notice it. And then exhale. At any point, the legs can stay in butterfly, or whenever you choose, they can straighten. Pay attention to the breath. Notice its origin, inhale. And its destination, exhale. Good. Continue to breathe. Allow the analytical mind to soften and invite the feeling body to process. Good. Allow the feet to, if the legs are straight, allow the feet to splay out. If ever you need to adjust your feet closer or further from you, please do so. Good. We are halfway there. Some of us will stay. Others will reach the arms by the ears if you want a little bit more of an intense stretch. You could even hold elbows or forearms above your head. I wouldn't force it, just know the range. Breath is steady. It's as though every inhalation is giving you permission to take in and to receive a little bit. And every exhalation is letting you digest, process, and filter whatever needs to be moved through the system. Good. And so all of you know I'm really into astrology, and I'm back in school for astrology as well. And right now we're in Mars retrograde for the next, until November 15th, so elections. And Mars, in like Greek mythology, it's technically Zeus. But in general, back in the day, the old astrologers would say it's a crisis point. Um, and, I don't really like to use words like that. And I also like to teach both. So it's basically a time to be still and pay attention. Okay, so it's this square, it's this point in time where we're being called up to pay attention and to act from a place of being still and settled. Because we're not in this world to know what's going to happen, right? We're in this world to develop resilience and humanity. And that comes from sitting with what is and acting when you know it's time to act. All of these poses that I'm teaching today, the majority of them are standalone poses. So if ever you feel like you want to stay longer in any pose, please do so, especially one like this. Because I'm teaching a class, I'm going to keep going. If you choose to keep going with me, please bend the knees and tuck the chin a little bit, lift the block from underneath, lift up a little bit more, remove all props from underneath you, and just lie down. Just see what it's like to be perfectly on the mat with nothing supporting you except the present moment. The legs can be straight. And we'll just be here for about a minute or so and notice your right body, your left body. And you don't have to adjust anything at all. You can just sit with the awareness of what is, the awareness of how we carry our body or how our body likes to settle. And in sitting with that, can you exhale, soften the skin? Good. Again, at any point, you're welcome to stay longer. When your body says it's even or it's balanced or it's ready, you can bend the knees and roll over to any side that feels appropriate for you. And just notice how you feel. Press the hands down and then inhale, meet me seated. Notice you have 2 blocks nearby. We're about to stand up. Please stand at the top of the mat, well, anywhere on your mat, really. You could even stand along it. The blocks are as wide as the mat, probably about 26 or so inches, and they're as high as possible. Bring the knuckles to the edges of the block, and slowly just let the heart sink in between the shoulders, tuck the chin, let the back of the neck be long. Some of us will stay here, as though there's been a moment in this weekend or in this week that you just needed to settle. Some of us may choose to move a little bit, so you can stay or slowly bring the shoulders forward so the upper back feels like it's rounding, and then back, and do that a few times. So we're just protracting and retracting the shoulders. Good. We can pause and stay or adjust the blocks slightly lower so they're at the second height. If at any time you need to bend the knees or widen the feet apart, you can. Okay, I'm not working flexibility. We're working more calming the nervous system. Stay. Or this time, those of us who like to move the shoulders, bring the shoulders up to your ears, back behind you, down towards the hips, and forward. So you're making shoulder rolls, shoulder circles back. And mind the speed. Make sure you don't automatically go as fast as possible. Now is not a time to speed anything up. If you're going in one direction, invite yourself to go in the other. So what happens if we are at this point, for example, and like I shared, in some schools, they might call it a crisis point. In the school that I follow, which is more evolutionary, would talk more about, okay, pay attention, and how do I need to process this? What needs to be processed so when it's time to act or speak, I have somewhere I'm speaking from that's stable. Please stay, or the last 10 breaths, you can bring the blocks lower. At this point, I would encourage a bit of stillness. Bend the elbows, bend the knees, anything that needs to be bent, bend it. Tuck the chin. Some of us stay, others dangle and hold elbows in front of the shins. And imagine someone who cares for you is touching your rib cage. Inhale, breathe into their hands. And exhale, lengthen the armpits down. Keep your neck by your neck by your biceps, your ears in between your biceps. Breath is steady. Good. You can hear the breath, not because it's ujjayi or it's forceful or victorious in any way, but because you're consciously paying attention to the moment. Stay forever. I'm backing off. You can bring your hands to the blocks. Inhale. Widen your feet slightly wider than the mat. We're going to squat. I'm just going to face you, though. You have blocks nearby if you want to sit on a block. Option 1, hands are together. Inhale. Option 2, bring the left hand to your ankle. Right arm over your ear. Stay or press the shoulder towards the thigh, straighten the bottom elbow, and genuinely just stretch the upper arm overhead. Sometimes the hands can support the skull. Lean back. Notice that the right knee can widen out a little bit. Doesn't have to stay neutral. If ever you need to adjust anything, adjust. We're halfway there. Good. From the center of the heart to either shoulder, widen your breath. Some of us stay for 5 more breaths like this. Others are ready to return to center. So gradually what we start doing in life, and especially now, is we start learning how to pace ourselves. We start learning how to charge ourselves. And one of the main ways to charge that has long been forgotten is rest and respond to what it is your body needs versus what you think you should be doing. We're about to dangle again. Press the hands. You can use the blocks or not. Inhale, straighten the legs. You can stay, or maybe this time is a little bit wider. It's your body. Stay. Option 1, use the blocks. Same thing. Option 2, you can dangle. Bring the hands onto the mat, onto the floor, or onto opposite elbows. If ever you wanted, your arms can go further forward than usual, as though you were in a, not quite a down dog because the hands aren't weight bearing, but it could be a little bit longer. And we're here for another 10 breaths or so. So there's quite a few things going on. I mentioned Mars. Also, like Neptune and Pluto are at play. And Neptune's an interesting planet. It's like the planet of illusions and delusions and kind of like our subconscious psychic self. And so what happens is it appears as though we have obstacles all of a sudden. And it's like, oh man, I didn't consider that. This is bad, right? And it's like, okay, you're getting the information now and we have time to process it. Please back off a little bit. Inhale, back off a lot. We're about to squat number 2 out of 2. Slowly widen the feet enough that one can bend the knees, lower it back. Use a block or don't. The opposite hand this time for you. It's the right hand holds the ankle and then the tricep presses the thigh away. Yeah, the left hand can be on the thigh or maybe you reach overhead. Any version that needs to happen. And so our ability and capacity to navigate the unknown is definitely challenged, and it like the ante has gone up. It's like up the ante a little bit. And it's like, that's the point, y'all. Like, it's not by accident. Keep the elbow up. Sometimes I pretend the top elbow is like an antenna and I'm looking for like better signal. So you can move the top elbow in such a way that you can access a different sensation that feels useful and purposeful. Breath is steady. Some of us want to stay side bending, others are ready to return to center. Notice how you feel. And what one of my teachers was sharing with me is that all of us are inflamed somehow. There is a part of us that's being triggered, and it's like, just handle each other with care, and especially yourself. Please touch the floor, find your seat. We're about to find wide-legged. Please remember you have blankets nearby if ever you want to put blankets underneath the knees or blocks underneath the knees. We're going to be wide-legged for a while. Please widen your feet. And the first just 5 or 10 breaths, have the blocks in front of you. Inhale, notice, can you allow yourself to collapse? And in this space, now do the opposite. Widen the shoulders out and down. Good. Some of us stay, others bring the elbows onto the blocks. You can point the toes a lot. And so like I mentioned, Neptune gives us access to our subconscious, and it places obstacles, illusions, confusion in front of us. And one of the main questions that I'm working with is like, what do I need to conjure forth from within to be able to navigate this uncertainty, right? If you look at the symbols, option 1, stay here. Option 2, I want to include a neck stretch. One can bring the right arm up, and I'll do the complete opposite, and rest it on your head. Inhale, lift your head up through the hand. Stay or bring your ear to your shoulder. The opposite left hand can stay or it reaches away from you, maybe even behind you. Feel free to close your eyes. Feel free to navigate the chin in a way that's useful. Breath is steady. Good. We rise, inhale. Exhale, other side. Left hand on your skull. Press the skull up through the hands. Exhale, bring the ear to your shoulder. The right arm can be as far away or behind you as you want. Breath is steady. Sometimes when we close the eyes, we can tap into the felt experience and the felt adjustment, alignment. At this point, most of us know alignment. And just know that it's a guide. It's not the only one, but it's a guide. Feeling is one of the main ones. Inhale, we return to center. Good. You can fold forward like we did, or I'm going to start including wrists, yeah? You can bring your hands forward, palms are down. Rotate the fingers back. You can press the base of the wrist down. Inhale, widen the shoulders. And just breath is steady, point the toes comfortably. Good. If you look at the glyphs of astrological planets, Mars is it looks like the male symbol. So it's a circle with an arrow pointing at a diagonal, right? And so Mars is could be a time to heal the masculine, or where a lot of stuff is shown in regards to the masculine. You can stay or slowly bring the fingers to face each other. The palms are still up. You can rock side to side, forward and back. You'll feel something. And if you don't, you can move the entire unit, the hands further forward or closer to you. Breath is steady. Good. Can we inhale, widen the shoulders, and exhale, maintain our composure even while working a different level of depth or access? Those of us who are working the wrist can continue. If ever you prefer to work a little bit more flexibility, you could press the feet down, one hand in front, one hand behind, and widen the hips forward. If you're working the wrist with me, this time the palms are up and the fingers are in towards you. The further the hands are from you, the more it's going to demand or stress your forearm. So the fingers face you, the palms up. Widen the shoulders. Notice how you feel. A lot of stuff gets stored in this, especially if you're writing, typing, using the phone quite a bit. So it's just nice to release the wrists. Yeah, you can point the toes a lot, engage the thighs, and just kind of sit with it without needing to go anywhere. Good. The really cool thing with everything that I've just mentioned and like navigating the unknown is this word I'm also working with, that's reverence, and self-knowing, selfhood. And it's a time to really work with that if you choose to accept it. Back off a little bit. We're in the last 10 breaths. Some of us want to fold forward and be that way. Others may want to work the wrist a little bit differently. This one, if you wanted the wrists, you can bring the top of the hands to the rib cage, and then the elbows can go further back, further down. Sometimes I even use this wrist stretch as a way to remind me to breathe into the side ribs. The fingers can face in any direction. It'll create a different sensation based on the orientation. Good. We're on the last 2 breaths or so. If you're doing wrist stretches, back off with the wrists. Good. Let's back off, please. Inhale, hug everything in, like you can tuck your tail quite a bit. Bend the knees. Let's do windshield wipers. Bring the hands behind us. Inhale, bend the knees wider than your hips and let them fall to the left. Lift the chest, inhale. Exhale here. Inhale, lift the knees. Let them fall to the other side. And just stay here. Inhale up. Same, different. Exhale, knees to the side. Stay or engage your glute. Lift and lengthen through the front hip flexor. For you, it's the right hip. Centered. Inhale, we rise. Other side, exhale. Stay or engage the glute. Lift the chest. Exhale, settle. Inhale, we open. Exhale, last time like this, and then we'll hold. You can stay or lengthen through the hip flexor, open the chest, lift the chin. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, knees, hips, heart, and chin. Good. Let's do it for time, just for a minute on either side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, allow the knees to go to the left. Option 1, this is plenty. Option 2, you can bring the left foot onto the right thigh, hands back. Allow the foot to be quite heavy down and forward. I'm kind of planning on being in lockdown for at least until 2021. So if any of you want to invest in like your own props, I would say like get bags of rice or sand, 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever. And that would be really helpful. When I first learned these, we would put sandbags in California over our thigh and just kind of let that be. Maybe you use your imagination. It's as though you're like burying mid-thigh down underneath the ground or underneath sand. Lift the chest and stay present and calm. What I'm saying is now is not the time to zone out and start getting in the habit of being tuned in, if not already. That was 1 minute. Please release the foot. Inhale, lift the knees up. Other side. Exhale. Some of us stay. Others bring the foot onto the thigh. You could imagine that you have quite a bit of weight on your thigh, and it's allowing and inviting your left hip flexor to lengthen. The hands are back, the chest is open. Breath is steady. Open the chest, widen the shoulders back. Another way to understand Mars retrograde is that it's a shedding of an ego or a personal identity or whatever it is that's taking things personally. That part of us is being challenged until November 15th. And gradually, if we work with that, it could just be like getting to know yourself on a whole nother level. So reclamation of your own knowing, reclaiming what you actually do know. Stay or uncross the feet. That is time. Inhale, we rise. This one's called Caterpillar. Some of you in Ashtanga may know it as Paschimottanasana. I'm going to do the yin version of it. So if you have blocks or a blanket, the blocks or blanket go underneath the knees. And we'll be here for time, so don't worry. Eventually, if you must straighten your legs, you can, but that's not the point. Slowly support the base of the knees, the back of the knees with a block. I put it at the second or first level, but you choose. Inhale, prepare, lift the chest, and exhale, drape your ribs over the thighs, tuck the chin. Because the knees are bent, maybe you can access your feet and see if your wrists can rest on your big toes. You can bend your knees more or less. And now that you have this nice grip or grounded sensation, stay or start pointing the feet away from you so the armpits, the arms, everything lengthens forward. Breath is steady. And we'll just be here for another like 12 breaths. Don't count them. So what I do want to acknowledge is that life has been intense. And when it rains, it doesn't rain just on one person's roof. And right now is the season to work with it collectively. Collectively is you can work with it a particular way. Individually is just like notice where there is discord or confusion or miscommunication, because that is the name of the game. So if you start noticing it, can you work with it in a way that's true to the highest level of you, right? Collectively, different actions need to be taken because how we work with the collective obviously would still come from love and from knowing yourself, but the way we act to change the collective is different than the way we act to change the personal relational. Good. At any point, you can let go of your feet and you can just enjoy being draped over your legs. This is another one of those postures that if ever you want it to stay longer, it's a very fine standalone pose. If ever you find yourself awake at night or wanting to go to sleep, you could do this with pillows on your bed. Let your neck be long. Good. We're rising up a little bit, inhale, and we're rising up a lot, exhale. You can remove the blocks from underneath. Butterfly, I'm going to face you, but you can stay facing where you are. You can have blocks underneath the knees because why not? Grab your inner toes, inhale. Stay or exhale, walk it forward. You could be on the fingertips. Give yourself room, give yourself space. Inhale, widen the upper back. Use this more as a release for the legs, more so than a flexibility or anything. If ever you prefer any other arms, please do them. When thinking mind comes up, just in Vipassana meditation and Buddhist, like from the Buddhist tradition, I learned to just say thinking.
not judging it, not following it, not creating anything around it except thinking. See if you can find a place where you're just being and you're just here, taking in the support. Good. You're welcome to stay longer. This is another one of those poses that you could stay longer if you wanted to. If you're with me and we're moving on, inhale, rise, and hug in. Now we're moving into the restorative portion of class, so you can make it as cushy as you want, and this is technically why I name my classes Pajama Party, so we can have access to pillows and bolsters and sweatpants and all of that. This one that we're going to do is called Simple Supported Back Bend. You could have the bolster underneath the length of your spine. As you can see, it's along, or you could have it across. It's going to be up to you, but I'll show you both. The first one I'll show you with it across the middle back. If you have a blanket, you could put a blanket underneath your knees. Basically support yourself all you want. If you have a pillow, you can use a pillow. To be honest, I'm going to use this as a neck roll, and I'm going to use the blocks underneath the knees. You choose. The reason I chose that is I want something soft around my head. One could put blocks or pillows or blankets under the knees, a pillow or blanket underneath the spine, and then you could have a neck roll right underneath your neck, as you can see. Okay, make sure your shoulders touch earth and your arms have space to rest. How high the pillow is up to you. And I'll come over and hang out and see how we're doing. Yeah, you all take to this quite well. It's pretty straightforward. Hey, Jide. Good to see you. And Katie. Good. Okay, I'll start the timer. And again, please stay in whatever pose is working for you. Right now, I'll just walk us through simple supported back bend. What I'm saying about the breath and what I'm saying in general goes regardless of what pose you're doing. But for the next minute or so, I'll describe the simple supported back bend. See if you can settle back into the back plane of the body. And if any micro or mega adjustments need to be made, make them. Inhale. Exhale. Let everything be heavier and heavier. Invite the thinking mind to sit back a little bit. Good. So each week things are shifting. See if you can, regardless of what shifts or what's happening internally, you know your center. So with your breath, remember the origin. See if you can find where you're breathing from. Inhale. Exhale. See if finding the origin, if you can go a little bit higher and a little bit lower, and inhale. So gradually, as we do the work of centering ourselves, taking care of ourselves, clearing ourselves, we can start finding center, and center gets larger and larger. So our ability to get into center is expanded. Our ability to stay there longer is expanded. Another way to say that is it would take more to take us out of center if we are consistently practicing finding center and being there. You're already there. Inhale, see if you can expand to the side of the ribs, side of the belly. Exhale, allow the shoulders to settle. Good. I'm just checking the time so I can let you know. Good. So this is a week to feel a lot. And in that feeling, can we come from a centered place and heal whatever it is within us that is being called up, right? Um, so there are times as we move through life that we kind of fragment, or there's fractures within ourselves, that things get a little bit compartmentalized, yeah? And so when major events are happening like this week, these different parts of us that we may not have looked at, worked with, or even motivated to work with are coming up. And in that space, can we bring all of ourselves into it, like harness all of yourself? Because to be honest, when we're fragmented, fractured, or compartmentalized, we are draining our energy, right? Because we're responding and reacting from a place that we don't know why we're doing things, or, it takes a little bit more to come to center. So you might as well include all of yourself. Let's call that integration. And as we become integrated, one's energy can stay a little bit more channeled inward. And then from there, you can act in a more powerful, resilient, strong, graceful way. So integrity is a main piece, integration. I'm here with you, but I'm not going to speak for the next minute. See if you can just settle in with no input at all, just your own. This is another one of those postures that you could stay here a lot longer. If you feel quite comfortable and want to stay here, you can. Because I'm leading class, I'm going to bend the knees and move the props from underneath me, just the knee ones. Everything else can stay. Take your time. Whenever the body feels like it, you can roll over to your side. Press the hands down and inhale, rise. Good. Now we're moving into reclined twist. You can use all of the props, but have them next to you. That way you can operate on the spot rather than anything else. Okay, so with this one, let's please lie down. Hug the knees to the chest, inhale. And just notice how you feel. If any rocking needs to happen, you let it happen. If any swaying back and forth needs to happen, let it happen. Eventually, we plant the soles of the feet on the ground as though we're going towards bridge. Arms are to a T. You can have the block or a pillow on the right hand over there and just leave it there. Inhale, lift the hips. Shift the hips away from the block towards the left. Let the knees fall onto a block, a pillow, or maybe you put a block or a pillow in between the thighs. Anything at all that you want. Will be here for 4 minutes. And I share time for those of us who like a little bit more organization and have, I don't know, just sometimes it's settling to know that there's a structure that you can rely on. Good. Any arms you want. You can look anywhere you want, maybe up to the ceiling or out to the left. Inhale, notice the origin of the breath. And exhale. Some of us can stay here or drift off. Others may want tactile feedback, where you bring the right hand to the left rib cage, maybe the armpit area, somewhere there, and just rest your elbow, rest the hand. Inhale, breathe into your hand, the left rib cage. Do you feel the breath in your hand? Keep going a couple of times. It was cool. I was reading this book called One Buddha is Not Enough by Thich Han. I don't know how to say his name. But yeah, the really cool thing is one of their people was dying in the community, and they talked about how even to the last day, like you could put your hands on that person's ribcage and you could feel the breath. So just notice life pulsing inside. Some of us like tactile feedback, and you can stay. Others will start sliding the hand a little bit down right underneath the floating ribs where your waist and ribs are, right around there. Inhale, breathe there. Exhale. Maybe you keep sliding your hand down towards the hip and then the thigh where there is flesh. Inhale. Exhale, feel free to press a little bit the thigh down away from you. Put a little bit of pressure there. And the thigh presses right back into the hand. Lengthen the torso. Maybe you yawn. So it's like finding little air bubbles. Breath is steady. Good. I'm here with you. Some of us, the left arm can stay. Others, the arm is by our ear. You could stay, or the hip draws down towards the heels, towards the short edge of the mat. So I'm here with you, and I won't speak for the last minute. Just settle in. Good. Slowly return your arms by your side. If there's a prop in between, get ready to remove it. As we inhale, lift the left leg, make a footprint. Lift the right leg, make a footprint. Give yourself a hug. Inhale. Option 1, anything at all your body does. Option 2, right hand, right knee, left hand, left knee, and let's do knee circles. Keep your low back on the mat. Allow the knees to go over the hips, back until your elbows are straight. Keep your low back, and then circle to the left, in towards you, to the right, away from you, or any direction that your body naturally went to is fine. So there's a way to release or soften a little bit in the low back. If you're going in one direction, remember to go both. Good. Pause. Set up for the other side. Slowly make a footprint. Move all of the props to the left. Lift the hips. Inhale. Shift the hips to the right and let the knees fall towards the left. Some of us put props under our thigh, in between the thighs, anything at all that feels the most conducive for you to relax. Inhale, open the arms. They can be cactus goalpost arms. You can look anywhere you need. Inhale. Exhale, maybe you look right. If there's any gripping or pinching in the low back, please adjust until there's no pinching anywhere. So in general, we learn how to respond and self-soothe even with ourselves, especially with ourselves. So remember how earlier I was talking about like fragmented or compartmentalized aspects of ourselves? It's like even now that comes up where it's like, oh, I'm just going to ignore the sensation. Like, no, that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to ignore sensation. We're here to work with the sensation, and the sensation is technically another clue as to how to tap into deeper levels of integrity and awareness in our own body and our own life. So if something is off and you recognize it, work with that versus avoid it or ignore it or push it away. Some of us say as we are, others want to use the left hand to give us feedback. The hand can rest on your rib cage, on the side rib. Inhale, breathe into the hand, and exhale. It's like right now I'm like touching Zion and I can tell he's breathing. I know the pace of his breath and I'm not even touching his ribs, So gradually one becomes free enough in the body or unencumbered enough in the body that you can feel the breath in your hands. Keep the hand where it is. Some people slide it a little bit down towards the floating ribs, waist area. Inhale, allow breath to move this space too. Exhale. Good. Stay, or you could manually slide the hand down towards the hip bone and lower towards the thigh where it gets fleshy. Inhale, breathe here. And exhale, press the thigh down towards your heels. And then inhale, ricochet the heart back and lengthen your torso as though you were going to yawn. Yeah. We're in the last minute. Some of us, the right arm can stay or it reaches by our ear, by our head. And I'm here with you. I won't speak. Good. Slowly, we start backing off. Lift one knee, make a footprint. Lift the other, make a footprint. Stay or exhale, hug the legs in. Option 1, stay put or knee circles. Option 2, we're going to move towards happy baby, where the knees widen. Inhale, flex the feet towards the ceiling, and exhale, hold the outer sides of the calves, ankles, or feet. Inhale here. Exhale, settle the low back into the earth. As you inhale, press the heels up. So you're doing both, hugging in and extending out. Notice any sensation. Adjust as you need. Good. Some of us stay put. Others inhale. Exhale, rock onto your right thigh, straighten the leg. And then inhale, hug it in towards center. Exhale, left leg straightens, lean left. So let's call this rocking side to side, any version. Notice if you have a tendency to speed it up, and not bad, just not necessary right now in this moment. Good. We're halfway there. Some of us continue with what we're doing. Others will rock to the right, straighten the right leg, and just stay there option. Maybe you start making a footprint with your left foot towards the ceiling and just notice where your body naturally stops. Not because you have found an edge, but because your body naturally stops. And breathe. And so it's really cool to start noticing when the body's like naturally pacing itself. If the leg is straight, bend it, inhale. Exhale, left leg can straighten. Keep it where it is. Maybe it's touching the floor. Maybe the right foot presses up towards the ceiling and away from the leg. Notice where you stop. Don't push anything. Settle into this. Good. Slowly stay or back off. And gradually, anything that self-soothes you. I'll teach one more basic relaxation pose. This will be our last one, so we can get really cushy. Keep soothing yourself. It's going to take a little bit for me to set up. So you have all of the props nearby. So I tend to use all of the props if I have them. But on the most basic level, let's say one could have a neck roll and one could support the knees, and that's all, okay? So for a neck roll, you want the blanket to be across the mat. So that would be my neck roll. And then one could put something underneath the knees. That could be it. As you can tell, the whole body is supported by the mat and the neck is supported by the neck roll. You can do any arms you want, okay? So this is one option. Another, if you like using the pillow, is that the pillow would be along the length of the spine. And the pillow touches your sacrum. Of course, it depends how long the pillow is. You could lie back and have support underneath your knees. And sometimes, most of the time for me, I like having something heavy on my hips. So maybe you could have a blanket there. So anything at all that self-soothes you. And again, if you want to have a challenge, I encourage you to use all the props. Okay, I'm just going to set the timer. And I'll guide us for the first minute or so. But like I've been doing, I'll just give you time to process. Yeah? Okay. Once you have found a position that works for you, and please adjust until you're perfectly settled. There's no need to just put up with something that doesn't work, okay? Inhale, notice the sensation in the feet. Exhale, let it be. The feet splay out. Inhale, draw awareness from the feet to the ankles, calves and knees and thighs, your entire lower leg, your entire leg. Notice sensation. Life is constantly pulsing throughout our entire body. Exhale, let it relax. Become aware of the pelvis, the hips, the belly. Inhale, breathe into the belly. Exhale, relax your pelvic floor, any gripping around the hips, low back. Inhale, belly and heart fill up. Exhale, situate the shoulders to support the heart and allow the arms to rest. Biceps, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms of hands are open. Inhale, belly, heart, and throat. Exhale, relax your eyebrows, four corners of the eyes, jawline, inner ears, and brain. Take rest. You are welcome to stay as long as you want. This is like one of the best standalone postures. If you're coming out of the pose, please bend the knees. Remove the props from underneath the knees, just enough that you can roll over to one side. Exhale here. Press the hands down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, meet me seated. Palms touch. Inhale, lift the heart up. And exhale, widen the shoulders, soften the skin. Tail is under. Notice how you feel. Invite yourself to settle back. So from this settled position, we inhabit the back plane of the body as well. And when we inhabit the back plane of the body, we can remain centered and present, and our vision's a little bit more panoramic.
If we maintain our center in a panoramic vision, then we can have strategic expression. We can have strategic action that comes from a settled, centered place. Thank you for sharing your morning and being here. Namaste. Happy day.